Welcome to State of the Offense, your unbiased coverage of your favorite team's offense, the Detroit Lions. At this point of the year, there are many unknowns around the league, but I believe that Lion fans should be hyped up about their offense going into this season. Last year, they finished third in total offense, sixth in passing, 11th in rushing, and fifth in scoring, and earned a 9-8 record. In the skill positions, the Lions bring back Goff, Amon-Ra St. Jameson Williams, and Brock Wright as the top players from last season. In the draft, the Lions added new playmakers with Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, and Hendon Hooker. Most fantasy football shows will only mention skill players, but at State of the Offense, we look at the entire offensive unit. We start in the trenches by analyzing the condition of the offensive line. On the offensive line, the Lions bring back 4 of their starters from last year, and they will have a camp competition at right guard. Taylor Decker is entering his 8th season at left tackle for the Lions. Last year, Decker graded at an 83, which was number 15 overall at left tackle in the game. He played 100% of the snaps. He's tied to the Lions contractually for 2 more years. Left guard Jonah Jackson is entering his 4th season in Detroit. Last year, he graded at a 77, which rated him as the 12th best left guard in the NFL. He played 73.3% of the snaps. He is a free agent after the season, though. Frank Ragnow is entering his 6th season with the Lions at the center position. He graded at an 89, which was good enough for the number 4 rated center in the NFL. Ragnow is locked in to his contract until 2026. 2 familiar faces occupy the depth chart at right guard. 2021 starter Halapuli Vaitai and former Lion Graham Glasgow, who played with the team from 2016 to 2019. Glasgow was in Denver for 3 years. With the Broncos, he graded at a 75, and he played 81% of the snaps in 15 games. Vaitai had back surgery last year and missed the whole season. In 2021, he played 86.5% of the snaps, and he graded at a 68. He is listed at the top of the depth chart for the time being. Vaitai's contract is up at the end of the year, but he has a reasonable cap number. Glasgow is on a 1-year deal as well. If I'm basing this decision off numbers from recent years, Graham Glasgow will probably overtake the position in camp. Penei Sewell is back with the Lions for year number 3. From his rookie year to his second year, he improved from a 79 grade to an 84 grade. He played 100% of the snaps and played in 16 games. His 84 grade ranked him as the 5th best right tackle in football. The 4 main guys on the offensive line have all been together for at least 2 years. Whomever wins the right guard job will have playing experience with Ragnow and Decker. Continuity on the offensive line with experience usually means good results for the offense. The Lions have one of the best offensive lines in football. Lions fans should be encouraged by the fact that quarterback Goff had his best season statistically in the last 5 years. Goff has been underrated for the last few years. Considering the pieces the Lions acquired in addition to Goff in the Matthew Stafford trade, the trade has paid off nicely for both organizations because Goff is a pocket passer. He has a ceiling in fantasy, but he is reliable and the quarterback of a loaded offense. In points per game, he was quarterback 14. He is currently the quarterback 18 drafted in fantasy leagues, going in the 13th round at pick 156. Draft Jared Goff every chance you get. Load up at other positions and target Goff in the 12th round, and you should be fine. Part of the reason to be excited about Jared Goff this year is the fact that the Lions have one of the best wide receivers in the game in Amon-Ra St. Amon-Ra ranked 9th in total points in fantasy, 12th in average points per game. He is highly regarded because of his consistency to catch a lot of passes from week to week. He is currently the wide receiver 9. He's going 19th overall, and I think this is a fair price for Amon-Ra. Most smart fantasy players try to get a big-time wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. If he's the best guy at your pick in the second round, take him with confidence. Opposite St. Brown will be a group of familiar faces. The Lions brought Marvin Jones back after a 2-year absence. Jones' career peak occurred in his 5 seasons with the Lions. Goff is talented enough to make him more productive than he was with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Marvin is going undrafted, and he's listed at the wide receiver 87. This guy will be a number 2 wide receiver in a top 6 passing offense. If you need to add a decent wide receiver at the end of the draft, don't sleep on Marvin Jones. Part of the reason that Marvin Jones is in Detroit is because Jameson Williams has not emerged yet, and he will be suspended for 6 games early in the season. Jameson is next level fast. He only had 1 catch for the year, though, for a 41-yard touchdown. I believe that Williams is overvalued in fantasy. In fantasy football, week-to-week consistency like you get from Amon-Ra is more valuable than the boomer bust deal like you get from Jameson Williams. Jameson is currently the wide receiver 62, 165th player taken, which would put him in the 14th round. This isn't a bad price, but he's gonna miss 6 games right off the top, and he has only made 1 play in his NFL career. I would rather take Marvin Jones in the 14th round because he will actually be on the field. Jones is also probably a bit better than Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond. If someone else drafts Jameson, they still may cut him in the first 6 weeks while he's suspended. And if he does get cut, you can snatch him off waivers if you want to. Stay on top of that situation and try to maximize who will actually be on the field opposite Amon-Ra. Raymond and Reynolds are good players, but they don't produce enough to be drafted in fantasy football. The Lions shocked me a little when they ended up trading TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings at the trade deadline. Trading good players to teams in your own division is a pretty rare occurrence in the NFL. Hawkinson looked outstanding in Minnesota. Sam Laporta, the Lions pick in the 2nd round, the 34th pick in the draft, is an alpha dog receiver. Rookie tight ends usually don't pay off early. Every NFL draft observer this spring was talking about this being the best tight end draft class of the past 15 years. Everyone talks about creating mismatches in the middle of the field in the passing game. Sam Laporta was the 2nd tight end drafted in this class. He's from Iowa. Iowa's known as the tight end university. George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Dallas Clark. There have been plenty of great tight ends to come out of Iowa over the years. Laporta is currently behind Wright on the depth chart. If Laporta shows that he can block, he will be on the field 1st through 3rd downs. If not, he may show up in spread sets on passing downs with the wide receivers. Neither one of these guys is getting drafted right now, but people favor Laporta in fantasy football. If Sam Laporta emerges quickly out the gate, grab him in week 1 off the waiver wire if you can. If you don't want to wait and see on Laporta and you want to use a late draft pick on Laporta, that might work better for you. The Lions decided to make a major overhaul at the running back position this season. Jamal Williams is down in New Orleans, and he has been replaced by former Chicago Bear David Montgomery. Montgomery is 2 years younger than Williams, and the Lions paid more money than the Saints paid Williams. Arguments go back and forth to who will be better in 2023. If the offensive line is healthy and the passing game is clicking, the Lions will be able to run on people pretty easily. The other move at running back was the Lions deciding to move away from DeAndre Swift, and they ended up drafting Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th pick in the draft. Swift and Gibbs are similar in some ways, but Gibbs is actually a better receiver and is a faster player than Swift. The Lions had a problem with Swift getting hurt, but Gibbs is fairly injury prone from his college days too. The NFL chews up running backs. This is a brutal game for running backs to play, and they get hurt frequently. That is why you need 2 of them, sometimes 3, to get through the year. Getting younger at the position is never a bad idea. In fantasy drafts, Jahmyr Gibbs is going as a running back 16. Montgomery is going at running back 29. Gibbs in the 4th round, Montgomery in the 8th. I expect these guys to produce similar to what Williams and Swift did last year. In a points per reception league, Williams and Swift averaged both about 13, 14 points a game. Williams had a ton of touchdowns. Touchdowns aren't really that reliable a statistic to hang your hat on from year to year. David Montgomery may not be able to duplicate what Jamal Williams did in touchdowns. David Montgomery is a better pass catcher than Jamal Williams. If Gibbs plays more games than what Swift did, he will automatically be more valuable than Swift. But if he gets hurt, he'll be similar to Swift in production. I think that the 4th round for Gibbs is reasonable. I really like Montgomery in the 8th. In fact, Montgomery is one of the better running back choices in the middle rounds of the draft. By the way, Swift is the running back 26 drafted, going in the 7th round. Jamal Williams is the running back 33, and he's going in the 9th round. I don't have a problem with where any of these guys are getting drafted. I think that Williams is the steal in the 9th round. Montgomery is in a sweet spot of the draft where he should provide good value. I'm not as high on Gibbs and Swift because of their injury histories. In dynasty leagues, I think that all 4 players are solid. Gibbs is going to be the 2nd overall pick in most rookie drafts behind Bijan Robinson and ahead of Jackson Smith-Njigba. Gibbs can become an elite talent if he stays healthy during his career. A lot of people sleep on David Montgomery, so you might be able to get a good trade deal on Montgomery in dynasty and keeper leagues. The fantasy prospects for the Detroit Lions is outstanding going into this season. Jared Goff is a good veteran quarterback in a good offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a fantasy wide receiver 1 level player. David Montgomery is usually undervalued by fantasy players. Marvin Jones may be a late steal in his return to the Motor City. The 3 young guys get everyone excited. That's Gibbs, Williams, and Laporta. Gibbs and Williams have elite game-breaking speed. Sam Laporta will eventually develop into a threat in the middle of the field. And with Amon-Ra ruling the short game, it's going to be very difficult for teams to cover both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. The offensive line is the strength of the team, so the time is now for the Lions offense. The fortunes of the Lions changed considerably when they made the Matthew Stafford trade. The Rams might have won a Super Bowl in the first year, but the Lions are in a much better position as a team than the Rams. The defense for the Lions was flawed last year, but if they get to a respectable level, the Lions can win the NFC North. A wild card is a definite possibility. I'm not a believer in the Vikings. They had a lot of lucky endings to games last year and pulled out wins. The law of averages say that their luck will run out. Justin Fields and Jordan Love have questionable futures at the quarterback position at Chicago and Green Bay. If Minnesota settles back a little bit, if Fields continues to struggle in the passing game in Chicago, and Jordan Love doesn't quite get it done to replace Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, the Lions are in a great position to take this division over. If you like today's coverage of the Detroit Lions offense, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.